Mic. Camera. Action.
No. Number one rule of Wall Street. Nobody, I don't care if you're Warren Buffett or if you're Jimmy Buffett, nobody knows if the stock is going to go up, down, sideways, or in fucking circles. Least of all stockbrokers. Right? It's all a fugazi. You know what a fugazi is?
Oh, fugazi. It's a fake.
Yeah, fugazi. It's a wazi, it's a woozy, it's a fairy dust. It doesn't exist. It's never landed. It is no matter. It's not on the elemental chart. It's not fucking real.
Right.
All right? All right. Stay with me. Mm-hmm. We don't create shit. We don't build anything.
No.
So if you got a client who bought stock at 8 and it now sits at 16 and he's all fucking happy, he wants to cash in, liquidate, take his fucking money and run home, you don't let him do that.
Okay.
Because that would make it real.
Right.
No, what do? You get another brilliant idea, a special idea, another situation, another stock to reinvest his earnings and then some. And he will every single time because they're fucking addicted. And then you just keep doing this again and again and again. Meanwhile, he thinks he's getting shit rich, which he is on paper. But you and me, the brokers, we're taking home cold hard cash via commission, motherfucker.
Right.
All right. Welcome back to Filmography, the show dedicated to watching every credited film from an actor's complete back catalogue, from past debut through to present day, in chronological order. Each episode, I'm joined by an esteemed guest to watch and discuss the next entry from the focused filmography, and consider how it ranks amidst their career, and whether we can trace any typecasting trends or topic traits or theatrical tics. Today, I'm joined by the vulpine of VHS Dave Horrocks to discuss McConaughey's performance in Martin Scorsese's The Wolf of Wall Street from 2013. We watch, you listen, and hopefully watch along too. The only way I guess we can start this by saying, like, welcome to the fucking show. Fuck. We're going to have to go some to try and compete with this movie, but yeah, I don't think we'll worry about what kind of language we're using, is considering what we're discussing.
Yeah, fuck that. So, I mean, I think yeah, it's hard. It's like Joey and Chandler in Friends when they get stuck and they're getting free porn, and then they can't survive in the outside world because they're just warped. I must admit, my vocabulary was warped after I'd finished. You know, I mean, it's 2.5 hours or something of this movie, 3 hours or whatever. And yeah, it was hard, especially going back to work where I'm just like, no, I can't just say, what the fuck are you doing? I have to say, oh, that's an interesting idea, you know, and so, but really try and rein it in. So yeah, I'd forgotten just how many F-bombs there were in there.
I mean, obviously we get all sorts, don't we? We get some tasty language from, you know, using all the consonants that you can think of being used in this one, that's for sure. I don't know if you read about, like, that it broke the world record for the most swearing in movies.
I think I saw that, yeah. I don't know if I can't think of anything that might have broke it since, but yeah.
I think in terms of mainstream movies, this is still the one. I did read it, there was something called Swearology or something, which is a documentary where they clearly just intentionally gone out. I think that had 1,000 and something. But did you read? Do you want to hazard a guess? How many expletives do you reckon are in this?
I feel like I did read this. It was 600 and... Hold on. And I promise I'm not looking at anything. I want to say 681.
Oh, you're on it. On the money. Yeah, absolutely.
Was that it? Oh.
Yeah. It's something like 2.81 swears a minute or something, like, considering their runtime. Which, that sounds low compared to what it feels like when you're watching it.
Yeah, it does feel. I mean, that must be loads of the scene setting bits that just padded it out.
The montages when nobody's talking. Yeah.
Or the infomercials.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, you can't swear on those, can you? Because that's where the movie starts, actually, isn't it? With an infomercial.
Yeah. I'd completely forgotten that bit, and then some of the others bits. I mean, jumping around, but right at the end where he sort of gets arrested is almost. It looks like it's an infomercial, but obviously they wouldn't have broadcast that. But it was an interesting way to shoot it, whereas infomercial invaded by the FBI.
Yeah, there's some metatextual and like intertextual stuff going on in this, isn't there? Because it breaks the fourth wall really early on. Actually, you get DiCaprio's character, Jordan Belfort, talking straight down the camera to you, kind of almost daring you to come on this journey with him. So it is quite playful in that way. It asks an audience to buy into what it's trying to sell you.
So I'm not as much of I do kind of enjoy movies, obviously, as you know, but I don't go into all of the director's back catalogue. And obviously Scorsese is a bit of a legend, isn't he? So I don't know how many times, if this is like a trademark of his, but it did make me think of Goodfellas, where you've got the end bit, that kind of wrap up and just directly talking to the camera. So it felt like that, but obviously a lot earlier in the movie.
Yeah. I mean, Goodfellas is a clear touchstone, isn't it? It's his new version of that. It's his next take on, we've looked at organized crime and that was a big deal then. Now this is, legalized crime and we're looking at that here. It's definitely the template, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know, I think it works. I think, the talking to the camera, because I think it wants to be playful and it wants you to engage, particularly considering where the movie ends. And obviously, like you say, we're jumping all over the place, but I always do on this, so that's fine. Considering where the movie ends and how it's kind of challenging your views on what you've seen, I think is very clever. But I don't think... essentially, I watched The Big Short. I was inspired. I watched this on Friday, prep for tonight. And then it was on my mind, and I was like, oh yeah, The Big Short. I haven't watched that since that came out either, because I don't think I've watched this since it came out. So I gave that a watch last night. And I think that does that interaction with the audience in a cleverer way, in a bit of a more interesting way. Here it sort of feels like I can do it because I can do it, but it's not kept up enough throughout the movie. It sort of feels like a showy moments rather than there's kind of a deliberate purpose behind it.
Yeah, I don't know. I've not really pondered that. I think I guess it breaks it up for me. And then, like you say, the playfulness of it. I mean, there are some, slightly black comedy elements to Goodfellas. But for this one, I don't know. Again, not knowing Scorsese maybe as well as I should do, but is this a trademark? I've never seen anything by him that leans this much into the comedy, because whereas Goodfellas is more kind of, like, say, your subtle black comedy, this is just straight up pure comedy, isn't it? A lot of it. Yeah,
it's satire, isn't it? Absolutely.
Yeah,
and it's built on IMDb and on Letterboxd and places like that as a biography and as a comedy. So it's definitely intentionally that way. Whether it pulls it off all the way through, you and I can decide. And I think this is going to be an interesting one, because this didn't watch for me as well on this rewatch in preparation for this podcast as I thought it might. And I think, from what perhaps the way you jumped on to talk about this when I first put the list out, perhaps you're going to come in with like a slightly more positive view than I am. I think having watched this and then Big Short quite close together, and then obviously talking about similar subjects from different perspectives, talking about the banking world, I think I'm more in line with the way that film sells its story and makes its point than I am with this one. I'm not sure where I fall on Wolf of Wall Street and whether it pulls off everything it's aiming to do, really.
So I'm actually trying to think now. Is The Big Short where it's the financial? Oh no, I'm thinking of something else.
It's Adam McKay, and it's Christian Bale, Ryan Gosling. It's kind of jumping around it's the housing crisis and how the banks are like selling like multiple like dodgy mortgages to people in order
no,
to.
It's no. You know what? I'm going to continue searching in the background. But I feel like there's something else that isn't that, but it's called something very similar. It's got like Skylar, from Heroes, and he played Spock as well.
Oh yeah, Margin Call.
That is it. Margin Call is an excellent kind of financial movie.
Yeah. I think it's the same subject matter, isn't it? But it's from the perspective of the Lehman Brothers bank.
Yes.
The Big Short is kind of the wider picture and all the different banks and all the people who saw through what the banks were doing and made money off it. Whereas I think Margin Call is just focused on kind of the Lehman Brothers and...
Yeah. So I think I'm going to have to watch it. I was just looking at it on IMDb there. It's one of those, I think in my mind, I've got Big Short and Margin Call mixed up. So when I hear Big Short, I'm thinking Margin Call. But no, I'm going to have to go and watch that one. But I guess for me, so I watched this probably about 5 years after it was released and didn't know anything about it at all. And I think coming into this as well, I've carried a bit of a bias. Obviously, we're going to talk a bit about Matthew McConaughey. But to me, he's always been like this side character. And I haven't really... I'm going to be interested to follow along because I've never really seen him as that A-lister. So he's right in this movie for me. But Leonardo DiCaprio, I think the bias that I've carried is, okay, he was in Romeo and Juliet was probably the first thing that I remember. And I'm like, fucking pretty boy, he's just like really good looking lad. And that's all there is to him. And then you watch Titanic as well. And I'm not really paying attention to his acting, it's the whole spectacle of that whole movie and the music and everything. And so I've just I'd almost written him off and any kind of acting chops that he might have. And this was the first thing I think I saw where I was like, holy shit, this is a range, all the, like you say, there's the breaking the fourth wall stuff. There's the debauchery of everything. I mean, again, I'm trying to think back to that first time, but this movie's still banned in several countries, isn't it? Because the amount of sex scenes and nudity in it. And I just thought he played an excellent role. And I think other things like Django Unchained as well. And you think, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I'm like, this guy, he's not only a damn good looking bloke, but he can actually act as well. I mean, he's got some questionable dating habits, but I could separate those out from his acting. So yeah, that was the first thing that I saw. And I'll be honest, that probably the first couple of times of watching it, I didn't really understand what was going on. I could kind of get behind, all right, they're obviously doing something illegal, but I don't understand it enough to understand exactly what it is that they're doing that's illegal. Whereas the last couple of years, I've tried to educate myself a bit more on like what is the stock market? What makes the price of something go up and down? And the whole crypto market, because that's unregulated as well. I think, or is it? I think there's signals that it will be at some point, and you have things like Bitcoin, which is, the most popular one. But there are so many different cryptocurrencies out there, and I remember just trying to again learn a little bit about it, and what you see is like, okay, when the price goes up, so if you put 100 quid in, and it's $10 or valued at $10, and then it shoots up to $100. Well, your 10 quid has just, gone up tenfold.
Yeah.
And so you would follow these cryptocurrencies and something would go up, and then some of the traders do follow a momentum. So if you follow the momentum up, they're never trying to catch at the bottom, follow the momentum up. And then when it starts to come down, sell when it's coming down, but not all the way down. But timing it does, not many people get it right. There's a famous story about Isaac Newton lost what was it, the South Sea Company or something? He lost an absolute fortune on investing, but slash trading. I guess you would say that was more investing. So anyway, I've just been interested and followed that a lot more. So watching it this time, I actually understood a bit better what was kind of going on. The fact that, he's just absolutely making up this bullshit. I mean, what is also interesting, you could say he's a clear salesman. Even when he was a kid, he was selling like ice creams on the beach, and he was looping in his mates and stuff to scale his operation out. So you could say, well, he's getting, he's a good little entrepreneur. He's obviously got the gift of the gab, and there he's actually exchanging ice creams for cash. But then when he went into, he started his own sort of meat company, he learned that you don't have to exchange cash at the point of sale. So people will invoice you and you can pay them later. And he just ended up leveraging way too much and then going out of business. But that, what you would call quote unquote sales technique, I'm talking about the actual real person / Leonardo DiCaprio. It's just conning people, blatant barefaced lies. And the thing is, apparently Belfort, a big influence on him was watching Wall Street, Wall Street. I remember hearing Michael Douglas saying, if you think Gordon Gekko's a good guy, you've seen the movie in the wrong way, or words to that effect. But I would say loads of people watched that and thought, this seems like the lifestyle for me.
Yeah.
And I almost think Scorsese's thinking of that for this movie as well. It's a bit of a cautionary tale. Look, he burned the candles. He burned the candle at both ends, and look at all the trouble he's got. He's got these terrible relationships. There'll be loads of young fellas out there like, fucking hell, I want a piece of that.
Yeah. And I think that's where this film is problematic for some people, and where I'm not quite sure where I fall on the line. I think I know what Scorsese's aiming for, and I think by the end he does achieve it. But I think too much of the journey there is glamorized, does look quote unquote, like exciting, and these kind of the red flag men, and all these other terms which are out there for the kind of dude bros who would watch this. I do think parts of this are misjudged by Scorsese, and maybe that's where he's aged out of being able to tell this kind of story. I don't know, but he sets Belfort up as almost like on a classic hero's journey at the start, and he's a young man trying out, and he gets influenced by McConaughey's Mark Hanna character, and that's where he gets his skill set from. And look what he does. He builds his company all by himself up from nothing with just his mates from the streets. And I don't know. I think, you mentioned Gordon Gekko, but, somebody like Patrick Bateman in American Psycho, or Tyler Durden in Fight Club, or Buddy Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, like all these characters where people misappropriate the message, I think is a really dangerous game to play. And I think it definitely, I think it must have happened here. I bet we got like a Top Gun effect, right? There's that famous story, isn't there? When Top Gun came out, I think the applications to the Air Force went up by like 1,000% or something. I've made that number up. That's a Jordan Belfort number, but there was a big number of like how much it went up by. And I bet this did. I bet lots of people were like, yeah, I'm going into stocks. If this is the life you can get, I can imagine that happen for sure.
Yeah, and I did read. You ever heard of Gary Stevenson?
No.
He's an ex-trader. He used to work down in London at Citibank. A real sort of working class lad, and he's a big campaigner for taxing the super wealthy. Like if you've got over about 10 million quid or something like that, you should pay a wealth tax, because there's all these tricks that they do. The likes of Elon Musk say he just pays pretty much no tax, because they have this technique called buy, borrow, die. So he'll have his billion in stocks or whatever, and then he'll go to the bank and say, well, I've got $1 billion in stocks, can you lend me, I don't know, 5 million or something for spare change? And then they'll lend it at super low interest rate, but it's worth it. So he's living off like a loan, if you like. So he's
Yeah.
paying back the loan. So that is his quote unquote tax, but that's going to the bank. That's not going to governments. That's not paying for your roads, your amenities, So it's a funny kind of system. And I guess watching this, I guess it is just about that capitalism excess, isn't it? And again, it's looking back at the 80s, but it's not like that was just a point in time and then everything kind of normalized again. The whole, what I think it does do well is it doesn't shy away from the bullpit. The whole, or do they call it the bullpit or the boiler room?
Bullpen, but boiler. Yeah, you're right. All these terms.
It was one of those things where everyone is just shouting, and the relentless. You don't let them hang up, and don't let them take their profits out as well. Get them to make some profit, and then invest in something else. And so that real, it is a toxic masculinity thing, and you could see it, but like you say, it didn't really pause and look like the way they shaved off the woman's head, at one point, it's pretty awful, but they never really paused on that, and I wonder if, through the 2010s was maybe a little bit of an awakening. I still don't know if we've fully got there yet, but I think when was the Me Too stuff? That sort of had people reflect a little bit, at least, and made people a bit more aware. So I think if they'd have made this movie 10 years after, they may have stopped a little bit and just, considered how toxic a lot of it was.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, because something else which jumps out is the TV series Succession. Like now you're describing it in that way. I don't know if you ever watched Succession, and obviously
I haven't. No.
That is 10 years later. It's just slightly shy, but obviously by the time it finishes, it's 10 years later. But that has some of these scenes where, like in an office, they're abusing the people that are in the office. They're showcasing their power. They're doing whatever they want. Getting people to embarrass themselves in order to keep their job. But it was all very hard to watch, but all very much judgmental on the people that are doing that. And I think that's where this misses a trick at times. I think because of I think we'll talk about, I get why Scorsese's decided to do this. I think that is the point. I think it's a conscious decision for him to do this, I think, because it ties into the point he's making about the movie. But I'm not sure, for me, how successful that is. I just don't feel there's enough indictment on the people, really. And I hear what you said, but, I wouldn't want that life. Just a job looks fucking horrible for a start, let alone all the, it's not greed is good. It's excess is excellent in this, isn't it? It's way too much. And the turmoil of their lives and what they go through, I understand for some people it looks exciting, glamorous. For me, it looks like absolute hell. I'd rather be at home with a cup of hot cocoa on the sofa.
I'd be there with my goldfish, but I wouldn't last very long.
So I don't, the fact by the end, Belfort's fine. He's lost his money and he's lost his wife and his family, but he doesn't seem to care that much after the initial shock. And then he's off being a motivational speaker, and his life seems okay. He has this cushy little rich white guy's prison where he's playing tennis, and so I think, again, I understand. Well, maybe this is where we'll talk about it. I understand these decisions by Scorsese, but I just don't think it does. I think it's too subtle, considering the state that most of the film lives in. This kind of like hyperactive state, like bright colors, like fast moving. It's relentless, isn't it? It's a relentless movie for 3 hours. It keeps going and going and going. You've used the term. I think we needed a full stop where it's like, this is why you've watched all of this. Now this is what I have to say about it. And for me, it doesn't ever quite get there.
Well, what I would say is, even though this is not anything resembling a life I would ever want to lead, I think just seeing the whole debauchery of it, and just going from one outrageous scene to the next. I do love this movie. It just really drags me in. But But you're right. Ultimately, Belfort, he never gets a comeuppance.
No.
I mean, if you think about, and the thing is, it is high energy. It's kind of not light, but it only goes a bit macabre in a really blink and you'll miss it moment. Like he talks about, was it the guy who married the girl who was giving him a blowjob in the elevator?
Yeah.
And then he just said very briefly, 3 years later, he killed himself, and you see like a picture, the way it's filmed, and he's obviously slit his wrist in the bath or something. Mm-hmm. But then you don't have any time to wallow in that. You're on to the next thing. And then there was John Bernthal's character as well, all happy and having a party on the boat and everything. It's like, he had a massive heart attack 3 years later. So the quieter moments and the moments where it could have had a full stop and really reflected are just zoomed past. But like you say, I do think that's a creative choice. And I think the bit where, if I did pause and have a conscience, because like I say, he hasn't had a comeuppance, even in real life now, he's going around doing the circuit. It's this classic thing of like white collar crime, isn't it? It's like, do they really pay a punishment? Like, you think of all those lives that were ruined, and I'm just focusing on the movie. Even that opening bit where they're talking about the penny stocks, right? People invest in that crap because they don't know any better. It's almost like, playing the lottery, but you're actually thinking, you're being told aggressively, that I've got insider information, cutting edge technology. So people who've got hardly any money are like throwing their life savings. This is not just taking off rich people. Yeah. So if you think about the impact that it would have had on their lives, you think of, now things like cybercrime, vulnerable people just getting rung up and stuff. And I was pretty angry at Kwasi Kwarteng in the UK anyway, because I needed to remortgage after him and his fucking kamikaze mini budget that was just bonkers. But also another thing he did was he talked about crime figures being down because cybercrime wasn't real crime. Like, right, you fucking arsehole. If someone's deprived, if someone's managed to be scammed out of their fucking pension, that feels pretty fucking real to them.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I think a lot of the things Belfort did was stealing from vulnerable people like that. So if you consider that and multiply that across all of the people that he would have impacted in a negative way, then yeah, he definitely didn't ever get his comeuppance.
No, and I guess I'm coming with a bit more of a hard line, but you're not alone in enjoying this movie. The majority of people like this movie. I mean, 100 million budget. It's on the screen. That's money well spent, I think. But it made 407, and whatever metric you buy into, it's 4 stars on Letterboxd. It's 8.2 on IMDb. So it is a popular movie, and I think, like I said, I was watching this thinking, oh yeah, like I remember having a good time with this. And whether it's me that's changed, or as you alluded to, society's on a gradual change. There are still moments which make me laugh. Of course there are. I'm a human being. There's still moments which I find entertaining, but there just wasn't a switch I could turn off anymore that said like, I'm just entertained by this. And they are definitely creative choices. You and I both said it, and I get it. It's because Belfort's not stopping to contemplate these moments. He's just carrying on with his life, and it's like, oh yeah, this guy's killed himself. Oh, I think it's Rick, isn't it? John Bernthal's character. I like Rick's died, but he's just on to the next thing because that's how he's living his life. Like constantly these uppers and downers, and every single drug he can possibly take, and yeah, there's a massive long pause, wasn't it? It's like that thing in radio. Like if you pause for too long, they'll think that it's gone off air.
With the crickets.
Yeah, absolutely. I was trying desperately not to repeat myself. That's what I was doing. That was what that pause thought process was.
Well, I think I mean, there are some laugh out loud. I mean, when he has the lemons, and when he's, again, if I think of Leonardo DiCaprio's just acting performance there, it's just absolutely amazing. And the whole way he opened the car door was all improvised. He just did that. I mean, I did think, surely if you were that spaced out, it's quite an athletic thing to be able to do. Apparently he put his back out doing it, so he could only do it once.
Door, isn't it? Is that right? That's what they call them. So it like lifts him up, doesn't it? As a door. It's one of those
the old
doors, I would
Lamborghini.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess it has to be long because there's so many individual sections to it. But I mean, just going back to McConaughey, I mean, this is for me one of the performances that I recognize him in the most. Certainly more than what was My Boyfriend's Back, something that we did. Second one, was he in it? Oh yeah, it was apparently. But I mean, I just love the whole pep talk that he gives him.
Yeah.
And apparently the whole, beating his chest was just like to get ready for a scene.
It's like his favorite warm-up, isn't it?
Yeah. And so, some of the reaction you get from DiCaprio is literally him turning around to Scorsese and like, what's going on?
Yeah.
But then apparently that was filmed in like the second week. And DiCaprio says like that just set the tone for the whole movie, because when he does his "I'm not fucking leaving" speech, they're all doing it there, aren't they? In terms of an impact for just a tiny real cameo in a movie, really, I mean, he really made his mark for me in this one.
It's a great callback, and it works in the arc of the movie, doesn't it? Of the impact that Hannah had upon Belfort. With the advice that he gives him. You mentioned already about the idea of like, no, get them to reinvest and like basically just keep fucking these people over until they've got nothing left. Like the impact that he has in that, it's 15 minutes, I think they say, roughly, of screen time that McConaughey's in, but the impact that Hannah has. So I really like that idea that they come back and it's like, it's so funny. Yeah. And it's almost like, it's right on that cusp of being really offensive, like kind of potentially Native American cultural appropriation, but not quite. And like it's really clever. It's really well pitched. I think it's really well done. But that's actually one of my favorite scenes in the movie, I think, because there's performance going on, there's acting, and there's it's the quieter moments which stand out to me, and this is one of them. I think there's a lot going on between these two, and there's a lot of performance going on between the two of them, and they're really riffing. And I think there's probably, as you said, not just that moment, but there's some improvisation going on where you can see them almost like on Saturday Night Live or something, where they're like, oh, what's he going to do next? And how am I going to react to that? And trying to stay in character. It's a really nice scene. I really, really like it. And it's really interesting watching this so soon off the back of Dallas Buyers Club as well. Because McConaughey is Dallas Buyers Club skinny in this. He's so thin. But the way they've styled him in this with like the fake tan, the really nice like kind of suit that he's wearing, the attitude that he presents makes him seem like a big person. Like he feels the room. He's got this energy about him where he's like constantly moving his arms out really wide. Like I'm going to fill this space because this is mine. It's like, this is my person. So it's really interesting knowing how much weight he lost and what he went through for Dallas Buyers Club. And like, I'm going to read a bit from Greenlights where he basically was on the set of that, and he got a call saying, do you want to come and do a couple of days in a Scorsese movie? And he was like, well, yeah, all right. So knowing that he's right in that mindset of that character at that point, the character that obviously he won an Oscar for, and he just jetted across and went and did this for a couple of days. And it really goes to show how much of a range he's got and how he can tap into these characters. And it feels like a different person. I know that's cheesy and cliche to say, but he's losing himself in his characters at this point in his career.
No, definitely. I mean, I think probably the first thing I saw him in was like, is it Fool's Gold or something like that? The proper rom-com Matthew McConaughey getting his abs out. And now I did notice he was really skinny, and I think it's the face shape. And, his suit looks a bit too big for him. But yeah, no, absolutely brilliant role. And again, I do like the back and forth. Apparently, that's one of Scorsese's things as well, is, he encourages the ad-libbing and the back and forth and tries to capture a lot of that. But I like the way, Belfort's obviously got the gift of the gab. He's good at the selling, but it's just that change from like, okay, if you win for the client and you win for yourself, that's the best way. And that, that's kind of the way I feel as well. And he's like, no.
Yeah.
Like, the idea is to get from your client's money, from your client's pocket into your pocket. Mm-hmm. That's it. And, again, I'd love to know how much exactly is just ad-libbed, but where he's asking him about, like, how many times he masturbates a day. And it's like, oh, those are rookie numbers. I wasn't timing it, but it sets up the character and it sets Belfort on a particular trajectory. Yeah. So it does have a massive impact on the movie, even though, like you say, he was only in there for a short amount of time.
Oh, he's doing coke just in full view of everybody in the restaurant, isn't he? Yeah. And he's like, let's drink until we pass out. And everyone around him just seems to accept this behavior. And the waiter's like celebrating him for the way that he's living his life. So, yeah, absolutely. It's a formative moment for Belfort, isn't it? In terms of who he thought he was going to be in this industry, but actually who he needs to aim to be, for sure. I mean, I love it. Like before McConaughey's in it, you've got Belfort being taken through to his desk by the guy, and he's like, well, I made 300,000 last year. The guy that you're about to meet, he made over $1 million last year. And like, these are rookie numbers compared to what Belfort ends up making. But I love the fact in the voiceover, he sits down and he's like, I can only imagine what a douchebag that guy must be. And then suddenly here's McConaughey. It's a really lovely setup. Yes, he is a douchebag, but he's a douchebag that you are going to emulate for the rest of your life.
Yeah. No, it is good. And I guess I do remember spotting him the first time of watching and being quite surprised that, I thought he would come back at some point, but it really was that just blinking, not quite blinking, you miss it, but early cameo. Yeah. And then he's out there. And then I guess you've just got so many cameos. And I guess at this stage, people are just falling over themselves, aren't they, to appear in a Scorsese movie.
Yeah, the cast list is insane, isn't it? I mean, obviously Jonah Hill's a bigger role and Margot Robbie's a bigger role. But then you start looking sort of further down the list. You've got, Rob Reiner, Jon Favreau, Joanna Lumley, Shea Wiggum is a character actor I really like. I mean, Kristen Milotti's gone on to be famous. She plays Belfort's first wife, but because of the Penguin, she's gone on to be a big deal. So yeah, just the sheer number of people in this is pretty impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, rest in peace, Rob Reiner. I thought his small role as well was great. Set up as this sweary guy, and what the fuck are you doing? And so
just to switch. Interesting thing about whether because he's Belfort's dad, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he's got that trait from his dad in terms of like how he can just suddenly switch on a dime. Definitely comes from there.
Yeah, and it was only, I guess, I can't remember. You just mentioned her name, but the lady who's in The Penguin and Belfort's first wife, like, obviously it was only watching it this time. I was like, oh, it's her. So yeah, just unbelievable talent. I mean, what did you say this cost?
100 million.
I mean, to be honest, it's not that much really, is it? For the cast that you get here on screen, that's pretty amazing, that.
And the lifestyle it depicts and the runtime of the picture. And it feels like he's done, like I say, I think it's all there on the screen. The money is all there, isn't it? And I think probably a lot of people are not earning that much. They're, as you said, they want to be in a Scorsese movie. I mean, I think Jonah Hill famously said he got like 60,000 or something.
Yeah.
He wanted to be in it. So he was like, yeah, all right. Whereas DiCaprio's getting whatever he's getting is there
25 million from the movie, apparently. I mean, I know you've got like professional pride and, you've got it on your CV, but Jonah Hill was in this movie a lot. And I read that about the 60 grand and I was like, mate, you've done yourself there, really.
But then I guess it's this point where it totally around this era, he was another one who was trying to transform his career, wasn't he? Like, I'm not just a super bad kid. I'm an actor. So Moneyball, I think he's in that, isn't he? And then a couple of years later, he's in this. So he is another person who's taken the roles to transform how people view him as an actor. So I think I'm assuming that's why. And it worked for sure, because he's phenomenal in this. I mean, phenomenally horrible, but he's up there, isn't he? Like DiCaprio, it is the absolute star this all orbits around, obviously, because he's playing Belfort. But you mentioned how good he is in this, and it is interesting that this is the first year that people were kind of saying like, this guy needs an Oscar. There'd been some buzz around 2010 because he was in Shutter Island and Inception in the same year, and that's a damn good year for him.
Yeah,
but this was the year of like, and this is the McConaughey one, as I said. So I think a lot of people are like, okay, that Oscar bait Dallas Buyers Club that you gave it to McConaughey, I think he deserves it, to be honest. Obviously, I do, I'm biased. But DiCaprio also, if you could give two, give one to DiCaprio as well, because he does have an arc here as a actor. If Belfort doesn't, DiCaprio does, where he starts with that kind of meek guy we meet in the office. That speech he gives when he refuses to leave, when it feels like he's been forced.
Yeah.
It's that sense of like, I think we've spoken about it before. I don't get it, but I do get why people vote for Trump. Because if you're that type of person who buys into somebody who's that good at kind of giving that kind of, if you buy into it a little bit, and then they are the things they say and they have the charisma that you appeals to you, I get why people vote that way. I don't get it, but I get why Hitler rose to power. I don't get it, but I get why
him right after the other fellow. But
that wasn't by accident, funnily enough. I get why people follow Belfort, and DiCaprio sells that of like, people would follow this guy to the ends of the earth, I think.
100%. And I think so it is part of the human condition, though. I remember I was chatting to an old mentor of mine. He wasn't quite Matthew McConaughey sort of levels, but he was talking about leadership, and he was making comparisons between, various leaders. And this was before, say, Boris Johnson got voted into power, but he was still around, it's probably about the same time as this movie came out, to be honest.
They've been mayor by this point?
Yeah, he's like London mayor at that time. Because that was the whole 2012 Olympics, wasn't it? He was London mayor. And he was making a comparison with him and say someone like John Major, who was, more analytical, wanted to work through problems, more intelligent without a doubt. But people don't want to follow someone like that. People don't want to follow someone who says, right, what we're going to do, we're going to create this study, and then we'll do a root cause analysis, and we'll find out all of the different things. And then the top three, we're going to pilot each one of those. Leaders with that charismatic, they boil it down to a very simple rhetoric. I have got a very simple solution to solve your very complicated situation. And it's in all of us. We want to follow that person. It's like, oh, they know something I don't, and they have that confidence, so we're going to follow them. It's a weird thing that's in us. And I think what I would say, I did really enjoy the movie. I do love the movie, but there are conflicting feelings with it as well. Because even in that "I'm not fucking leaving" speech, he starts off by talking about the woman in the office, and she's absolutely, she's in tears because when she joined, she needed like $5,000 to basically pay for the kids' tuition, and he ended up writing a check for $25,000. And the thing is, we're all just caught in this fucking ridiculous capitalist model that just, it's like rats fighting each other at the bottom. And you think about the massive excesses at the top. Well, it just forces you into this world where there is now more money in the world than there has ever been, but it doesn't feel like it.
Right,
It's not spread. Well, it's never been spread evenly, but you have to keep the people at the bottom hungry to carry on working. Because if you just went, right, wave a magic wand, no one's got a mortgage, well, you're all financially independent. Well, don't really fancy going to work this morning then. So I kind of get that point. But just the absolute excesses and the fact that, you know, sort of real life Belfort, he did recruit a lot of not college graduates, but like high school graduates, because he didn't want them to be too educated. So, you know, educated enough, and then basically get them through the exams. But some people, or they paid people to take their exams for them, but he could mold them and manipulate them to be the kind of salespeople he needed them to be. And like I say, it's not about selling someone. It's not about solving someone's actual problem. You're just fucking conning them. So, yeah, it's a fairly distasteful bit that I don't like, but it's nothing to do with the movie, really. It's more just my distaste for the real world aspect of it.
I mean, it's a cult, essentially, isn't it? And the scenes they show, like the debauchery that's going on in the office, I'm not sure it was to that extent as they depict it in the movie. If it was, I mean, wow. I imagine parts of their life maybe was, but the things that you see going on in the office, it's, you know, the way that he sets them up and he builds them up, and it's like, no, it's like, you know, like the old Roman Empire or something, isn't it? You know, like, let's have a big orgy, and the way it's all done, again, like, it's all very deliberate, all very creative, all entertaining. But you're right, there's just that at the root, there's something, just the root of it is evil, isn't it? And you can't help but switch that off, I suppose.
Well, I mean, money is like this, it's this man-made thing.
Yeah.
Doesn't, you know, come the zombie apocalypse, it's going to mean fuck all. So it's just this weird thing that drives the behavior. And I thought it was interesting as well, the choice that Scorsese made. You've got the FBI guy, you know, and he goes on there, and then Belfort loses his cool a little bit, doesn't he, after he's tried to bribe him. And then
that's my other favorite scene, is the one on the yacht between the two of them.
It is a good back and forth, isn't it? But then when he eventually goes down, you basically see the FBI guy in the scene that Belfort's described. You know, he's on the tube train out of the city because he can't afford to live in the city or whatever. And again, I don't know why it was necessary. If you're trying to put this up as a cautionary tale of excesses, why show like a government official in a shitty life? You know, I didn't understand that bit.
It's an interesting moment, isn't it? I love the actor Carl Chandler who plays Agent Dillon. He is in the Friday Night Lights TV series.
All right, okay. And
I'm in love with his performance as that character. He's just the absolute role model that you can imagine you would have wanted at that age to help guide you and make sure, you know, he's not perfect. He makes mistakes, but then he owns them, and you learn by seeing him. Anyway, I'm going off track. I could talk about that for another hour or so. So whenever I see him pop and stuff, I'm really happy. He was in The Rip recently as well, so it was nice to see him in that too, in the Matt Damon and Ben Affleck movie. But
right, okay,
yeah, that is a really interesting moment, that. And I wonder, it's another one where I wonder, as you said, like, in the judgment, is it quite right? Because there's a very subtle, like, smile, a very subtle kind of curl of the lip or curl of the mouth, where he's kind of like, and again, I guess it's up to you how you read it. I kind of read it of like, I accept this is my place, and what I'm doing is for these people. But you're right, like, the tone of it before that was like, look at this beige, sweaty, like, life that you're living with all these cruddy people, versus Belfort in his luxury, playing tennis, white collar. So yeah, you're right. Like, it's hard to gauge how many of these moments that have a deliberate purpose and have a meaning quite come off for everybody or some people, or it's interesting. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, because I guess he didn't play enough of a part in the movie to be like a real nemesis. You know,
No.
you're not setting up a Batman and Joker type thing where, you know, they've been going back and forth and then eventually he gets one over on him. Because, I mean, even when he does catch him out, you know, he has a few bites of the cherry, doesn't he? Because he gets offered a deal and then basically he's wearing a wire, but then gives himself away because he's written on the napkin, I'm wearing a wire. So he eventually sort of gets caught, but it's not like a satisfying, right, it's not like stir crazy, you know, here you go in with the big fella. Like, so yeah, that bit more than anything to show him in his quote unquote shitty life that Belfort described, it just felt, I don't know.
No, I hear you.
The glorification of the excesses.
It's interesting because the other movie which jumps a little bit to mind is Catch Me If You Can, another DiCaprio movie. Where you do have that back and forth between the DiCaprio character and the Tom Hanks character, and that's a much more playful movie. Ultimately, about a criminal who's defrauding companies and people out of lots of money as well, done in a slightly more jovial, jaunty way. But so that has a bit more of a natural back and forth where it does the same thing, doesn't it? Like you're seeing the Hanks character kind of just being a normal guy, living a normal life and doing a quote unquote normal job, but pulls it off a little bit better.
Yeah, definitely. And like I say, there was apparently going to be a 4-hour cut of this, which, I mean, I'd watch.
3 was more than enough.
Be like the Snyder Cut, Justice League.
Yeah.
But no, like I say, he's not in it enough, but that's because there's so much going on. Like you say, it never stops. I mean, I can't remember all the people you mentioned before, but I didn't hear Joanna Lumley also made an appearance there as well. A little cameo. And I believe Belfort's actual wife, Naomi, I don't know if that's her real name, but she was English, apparently. Because I thought it was a bit odd with Lumley going in there.
Because did you read that it was going to be Julie Andrews originally?
Oh, really? No, I didn't see that.
I think she had broken her ankle. She had sort of injury, so she couldn't do the role. Right. But that would have been a really interesting, like, person to have cast in this role. Joanna Lumley fits this. It kind of makes sense. She brings that kind of ab-fabby sense to it. Whereas, like, seeing Julie Andrews would have been really interesting because it would have felt really out of whoa, okay.
Yeah, I think it would have done, but I thought, again, thinking maybe of Ab-Fab, I just thought the scene on the bench where he's basically trying to convince her to smuggle money into Switzerland, and you hear both of their inner monologue, you know, about
is she flirting with
coming
me?
on to me, and she's like, is he fucking coming on to me? And so I thought it was a brilliant scene with the pair of them there.
Yeah, again, another quieter scene, interestingly.
Another what? Sorry.
Quieter scene where we're not having
quieter, the
razzmatazz whiz bang. I mean, we've not really spoken about Margot Robbie at all, and we have to because this is absolutely the star-making turn for her. Yeah. And you know, you mentioned DiCaprio's dating proclivities in real life. She is 22, which is mad at the time this was made because she presents in a much more mature way. Like the control of her craft is what I mean. Here at 22 already is like, wow, this is somebody that's going to go on to be something special, and she's proven that, you know, since that moment, hasn't she?
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised. I was going through the trivia before. I mean, absolutely stunning individual, and absolutely burst onto the scene. This is what gave her the Harley Quinn role, wasn't it? Because she carried off that Brooklyn accent, apparently. But even when Belfort's on the phone to his wife and he's like, oh, you know, should I go back? Should I not? And she turns up and she's completely naked. Apparently, you know, it was intended to be that she'd have a robe on. And it was Robbie herself who, you know, she needed a few drinks before, but she said, no, that this is what the character would do. You know, her body is her weapon kind of thing. And so, you know, I think to have that, basically that confidence really to just go for it. And yeah, there's some absolutely iconic scenes, and had no idea. I watched Home and Away in the 90s, possibly, probably, but not recently. So I'd never seen her in anything. This was the first thing I saw her in, and I just assumed she was from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So,
I think of her in the same way I think of somebody like, I mean, maybe DiCaprio to an extent, but particularly Brad Pitt. Where like she feels like like her and Brad Pitt feel like, the male female versions of each other were like, as you mentioned with DiCaprio, let's cast you because you're beautiful, and then actually there's a lot more going on underneath the surface there. These are two very very talented performers who quickly take control of their careers, and like Brad Pitt's like, no, I'm not just a pretty boy, I'm going to be in Seven, and I'm going to be in Fight Club, and all these things that he chooses to be in. And Robbie does it as well. She quickly takes control of her career and is like, fine, I understand I look the way I look, people find me beautiful, but I'm much more than that. And she really is, like, the level of performance. And as you said, it's confidence, I agree. Understanding of the character, though, and the willingness to, I was going to say step into the shoes, but it's the opposite, isn't it? The willingness to do what it takes for the character to present correctly on screen at the expense of her as an actor, perhaps, in this moment, because, as you said, she needed to steal herself with a few drinks, and it was an uncomfortable thing for her to do, to then talk to her family about, one of my first major roles, I'm going to be completely nude. But for the honesty of the moment, it was the right thing to do. And she just has so much control, and she's acting against DiCaprio, who is at the height of his powers here. This is the moment when everyone says, wow, look at what an actor he is. And she's holding the screen with him in every scene. I mean, the famous one being in the nursery, isn't it? When she's sort of leading him on and drawing him in. Fine, the character has the power in that scene, but it takes a performer to be able to tap into that. And the actress has the power in that scene completely.
Yeah, definitely. But I do think you do see some movies and there is a bit of a difference between acting talent, but absolutely not in this. And every single scene, I mean, she goes through more kind of transitions, if you like, because she's that kind of it girl at the start, and she goes through being a mum. You see her pregnant a few times, and so just the little mannerisms where she's got the hand on the bump and stuff. It's just, and you don't really think about it. You don't really think about, oh, that's Margot Robbie, like pretending she's pregnant kind of thing. She just morphs into that character all the ways through. I think the only thing I thought, and again, I don't know how much of it is based in reality and how much is just the movie, but I thought, fucking hell, like, how did it take us so long to leave him? Because what was the one where he had the dominatrix, like Venice, where they're having the whole argument and
dripping the wax,
chucking water on him and stuff. And again, I thought that was a great scene. There's so many great scenes in this. Just like you say, the McConaughey bit, the speech, the bit in the boat I love as well. A little bit of chop. Yeah, I'll be fine.
Oh, yeah.
Chop, maybe a few broken plates. Then the next minute, it's like, what was the George Clooney one? Perfect Storm.
Perfect Storm. Yeah.
So she was excellent and an absolute breakout role for her, but not like anything was given to her really, because she deserved it.
Yeah, I don't know if I couldn't agree more. And she's just gone on to be, bigger and better and more, ever more impressive in what she's continued to do. I don't know if you read the same thing about how, like, that scene that we're talking about, the famous scene when she comes out naked, is rumored to be I don't know how you measure this. I don't know what the metric is, but it's one of the most paused moments in movie history.
I'll ask my VHS co-host Chris if that's true.
Like I said, I don't know how somebody's decided you measure that, but
I guess, I mean, especially if you're watching it on Amazon Prime or something, those fuckers are watching you all the time, aren't they? So, they're probably, would be able to figure it out. But whereas if it was a VHS, first of all, it would be jumping all over the screen. Whereas I guess digitally, you can pause and get get a still there. So I don't know. I like to think, I laugh about Amazon watching how, where you're pausing. I hope that's not true, but I kind of feel like it might be. So
Dave's quickly checking his history.
Yeah.
Whilst you're watching Champagne and Bullets for the third time, what bits did you pause on?
Oh, what a fucking amazing movie. I mean, which bits? I mean, there's the nudie bits, but I mean, I'd almost be as likely to pause on some of the fight scenes or the Shakespearean soliloquy. But yeah, that is an amazing fact. I didn't see that one before. Things have moved on since Basic Instinct.
Yeah, that's true. Absolutely. But it's a very pausable, memeable movie, isn't it, in general? I mean, there's so many things. Obviously, the McConaughey stuff and the DiCaprio dance at the wedding. I think you see a lot of amazing moves he's offering. There's some shapes that he's throwing. But even during that speech, he does that weird thing with his does this really weird underbite. Yeah, but there's so many moments of this that I think that have become just constantly out there in the kind of popular culture and the public consciousness of moments which are appropriated. And obviously, the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood DiCaprio one of pointing at the screen is really, really famous. Yeah. But it feels like there's half a dozen at least from this movie that probably are out there and are being used all the time.
Yeah, definitely the I'm not leaving speech. I think I've seen that on lots of different memes. And actually, I guess towards the end of the movie, it's almost when the music starts to stop, isn't it? When he does get caught. Mm-hmm. I mean, you knew the guy from Switzerland was going to screw him over, like straight away from the start with Rugrat. Yeah. So, it does it starts to wind down a bit there, and I don't know if I love that end bit. Like I say, it doesn't feel like a proper comeuppance. It feels more like a winding down than anything else. It's like, the party's over now. Did a bit of time playing tennis in prison. And it sort of says he lost everything. Actually, I think I read this after. The judge did an interesting thing because the judge didn't have him pay everything back from his earnings. I think what they said is he'll never be able to pay everything that he's taken off people. Mm-hmm. But they didn't want to take all his money off him, like all his future earnings, because then he's got no incentive to actually work. Mm-hmm. Whereas he recognized that this guy is, I mean, again, they celebrate them, don't they? They call them they call con men entrepreneurs, but that's the theory is, well, if he goes out there and is entrepreneurial, there is a chance he'll pay back. So they said, something like 50% of your future earnings will go to paying the people back who you conned. Whereas if, like say, it was 100% or 80%, something like that, he wouldn't be incentivized. Mm-hmm. So the judge, obviously, he was on the side of, okay, let this guy go out and be an entrepreneur, and then that might be the greater good.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's like a motivational speaker, isn't he? I think he's got a podcast, which I'm sure is successful, with the Dude Bros. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because the end is him at one of these motivational speeches in New Zealand, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the camera is following him, and he's doing the pen speech from the start, like, sell me this pen, sell me this pen. And if I paid a lot of money to go to this motivational speech, learn how to be a salesman, he's just with the front row telling him to sell a pen, I'd be asking him for my money back. But this is
I'm assuming at some point, he finds someone, because I thought that'd be a good recruitment thing as well. So I thought he was going to get to someone, and I couldn't remember from the few times I'd watched it before, but I thought he was going to get to someone, and they'd say something like, this pen will change your life, and really talk it up. But no one did. It was just like, oh yeah, it's a good pen.
Yeah, it's silver. You can write.
Yeah, it's very nice.
But this is the moment, isn't it? I think there's something going on there to do with the idea of, like, his mates are the people he first recruits are his mates, aren't they? And although they're not highly educated, they are the right type of people, as you said. So, and I think it's John Bernthal's character, isn't it, who's the first one to say, you need to write something. I've got the pen, you haven't, buy it off me. So he's like a guy on the street. So he like, he's clever in that way. He's street smart rather than educated smart. There's definitely a comment going on there. But also this is the moment where like the camera comes away from Belfort and it goes into the crowd, doesn't it? And they're all there like wide-eyed and like hanging on every word. And this is where Scorsese's finally making some sort of comment as a director, isn't it? Where he's saying, this is all of you, by the way. You've all been watching this movie and you've all been enjoying it. And that makes you as complicit as it does. It's almost kind of Lars von Trier-esque kind of moment. So I get what he's doing. But this is where, like I said before, I think this is where it's too subtle for the people that need to. We will get that. Lots of people will get that. But too many other people will be watching and think, not understanding that at all, thinking like, oh, I wish I was in that crowd so I could learn from him.
Yeah, like I say, I think the kind of late stage capitalism, it's just got everyone wired to think, I noticed this years ago that in terms of just pure investment, there's so much investor capital sloshing around the US. They like lots of what I would say normal people are just into investing and then thinking that they're going to pick, the next Microsoft or the next Amazon or something. And that's why when you have things like the dot-com crash, the financial crisis of 2008, can't remember exactly what it was. It was something about 2012. You're just getting these crazy excesses, these boom and bust cycles. And like I say, I don't know, is it greediness or is it, it's a way out, people want to be able to buy nice things and, have a good time. And I think people are driven a lot more. Whereas in Europe, they're not really, they don't invest in the same way. Most people now have a pension. Most people don't look at it though, even though that's investing. It's just like, the company auto enroll me in that and does something. And when I'm 65, I'll find out whether it was any good. Whereas I think obviously it was in New Zealand, wasn't it? So it was obviously a catch or captivated audience there. But yeah, all sort of wanting to be Belfort. And so, like you say, the looking back at the going into the crowd, way too subtle. And in the same way that Wall Street influenced Belfort, fast forward like 10, 20 years, there'll be other people who purely got themselves into the stockbroker market, because of this movie.
Yeah. And it's interesting, this is quite a nice place for us to start wrapping up, isn't it? Did you read about the finances of the movie and this idea of like, this cycle and things that come back, that the two of the finances of this movie, so they put up 60 million. Right, I've got the names written down. Where did I put it? I'm scanning so Riza Aziz and Joey McFarlane. So one of the production companies that comes up at the start, I can't remember which one it is now, like they put up 60 million of this budget, so quite a hefty proportion, only to later to be charged for embezzling the investor money that they accrued in order to invest in The Wolf of Wall Street. I mean, talk about the deepest of ironies in life imitating.
Wow.
That they themselves embezzled, so obviously more money than 60 million was raised, and not all of it made it to the making of Wolf of Wall Street. So,
wow.
You couldn't write that, could you? It's unbelievable.
No, I didn't see that. So that is one of those amazing ironies, isn't it? I mean, I was surprised. I didn't really pay attention, before, but the fact that it's an independent movie as well is amazing, again, to get that cast. But if it was controlled by a studio, you wouldn't get the excesses that you've got. You wouldn't get the swearing, the nudity. And I'm not saying that makes the movie, but it definitely makes everything more extreme, doesn't it? It's like a sensory overload kind of thing. It's like you're not really used to seeing that in movies. So the fact that they had that freedom was a good thing. And like you say, the way it's financed, the fact that that's all, I mean, they're all corrupt as fuck. You know, the lot of them, it's just whether they get caught. There's the fucking politician, wasn't there? Again, this is a different rule for different people. Like the guy, was he the Conservative chairman or something, and it was like, oh fucking hell, yeah, I didn't pay like 3 million in tax or something. Oh, tell you what, I'll pay you now. You know, now that you've caught me, I'll pay you now. And that was it.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, us average schmoes will go to fucking prison for, you know, owing 200 quid or something. So it's just, again, I'm quite annoyed at the real life world situation of this, but it's a bit of a paradox, really. I don't know why I still like the movie, even though I'm so put off by like basically everything about the environment of it.
Yeah, maybe that's where the relentless barrage works for you, though, isn't it? That you get so caught up in that kind of whirlwind of what's going on. I get it. I get why, you know, and I don't detest this movie anyway. I just found I couldn't switch off this time, which I think I probably did the first time. And even like the scene you talked about, the Quaaludes, the lemon scene, like, I get it. I get why this is a celebrated scene. There's so much clever stuff going on there that when you see the stairs, it's 6 steps. And then when it cuts to Belfort's point of view, it's like 20 steps or something. Like, it looks like it's reaction. It's really fun. There's really good stuff going on there. Like the you know, when he gets back to the mansion, he's like, "Yeah, can't believe I got here without a scratch." And the reality is, he's totally fucked his car up, and so really good stuff. Like, it is genuinely funny. But I was sat here on my own on the sofa watching it, much like yourself, like thinking, "Oh, am I going to get all this in tonight? Because am I going to get too sleepy?" Or like, "Oh man, it's 3 hours long." And so perhaps I wasn't 100% in the right frame of mind or the right place, but I just couldn't switch off and let myself get totally caught up by the movie this time. Something was just stopping me.
Yeah, it'd be interesting because I don't really know. Nothing that you've said sort of makes me think, oh yeah, if I looked at it that way. But maybe it is the dude bro stuff. The fact that you know, it leans a bit too heavily, and the cautionary tale stuff is a little bit too subtle. You know, it's overpowered by the dude bro stuff. Maybe it's that, and I just haven't really picked up on it. But yeah, I'd be curious if you nail it and then figure out exactly what it is. Yeah,
and I think watching, you know, to circle back to finish where we started, watching The Big Short so soon after is really formalized that for me. The idea of like, oh god, this is really reductive, but The Big Short is kind of like the thinking man's version of it, whereas Wolf of Wall Street is the kind of Hollywood version of it. And as we just said, it's not even a Hollywood movie; it's an independent movie. But they're both trying to do the same thing. But I guess The Big Short just makes it really much more clear: the dude bros are the bad guys, and this is wrong, and the system is fucked. And actually, there's no good guys in The Big Short, really, because even the people who are shorting the system are making money off the same type of people. But then you have the Brad Pitt character who does stop at one point. I guess it has full stops, whereas we said Wolf of Wall Street doesn't. It has a full stop in that where he's like, "Stop dancing. You have just made a lot of money, and now people are going to be homeless. People are going to like lose their jobs. People are going to starve. Like, we are profiting off the misery of those people." And you know what you've been talking about, you know, the rats at the bottom of the sinking ship, like, we're profiting off those people. So I think The Big Short does a good job of just putting that really, like, it's not a full stop, actually, it's an exclamation mark, really.
I'd actually say, and I will watch The Big Short after I've established that I haven't actually watched it at all. That almost, to me, sounds more Hollywood.
Good point, yeah.
None of those fuckers gave a shit that, you know, the damage they were causing. You know, again, I can recommend I think it's called The Trading Game, the book by Gary Stevenson. You know, it's just the lifestyle. And, you know, they do work, the traders, they do work incredibly hard. They work, long hours, but fucking hell, they go to extremes as well in terms of how they spend money. And it's, it's a showy thing. A lot of Belfort's actual staff and stuff were spending everything they made. So, it's just, again, just this thing that eats itself. It's just a real unsavory part of society, really.
Yes. So should we cheer ourselves up by hearing from Matthew McConaughey?
Yeah, that was a fucking cheery note from me, wasn't it?
Somebody who, he seems like a savoury character, somebody who we can trust to keep being wholesome. And I hope, I know I've started saying this a lot on the podcast, but, I've gone down this road and I've invested a lot in him. And he's McConaughey and Keanu, they're the two. Please don't let me down, guys. Please don't let me down.
Yeah.
All right. So he segues into talking about Wolf of Wall Street whilst having a larger section talking about Dallas Buyers Club, because, as I mentioned, he kind of jets away from that to film a couple of days on Wolf of Wall Street. So he says, at £157 with more to lose, I received a call from Martin Scorsese offering me the 2-day role of the broker mentor Mark Hanna to Leonardo DiCaprio's Jordan Belfort in the film The Wolf of Wall Street. In what was originally scripted as a much shorter scene, I went off into a lunatic to the marvelous musical riff rap that ended up being what's in the film today. And as you know, like, kind of DiCaprio was egging him on and was like, "Is this okay, Marty?" And Scorsese let me play, and DiCaprio teed me up. And that chest bumping hum note, that was something I was doing before each take to relax and keep my rhythm. It was Leonardo's idea for me to do it in the scene. So just kind of backing up, the evidence that we've seen ourselves. But I like this idea that these three professionals, I suppose, Scorsese, DiCaprio, McConaughey, at this point, let's still take some chances a little bit and let's see where this takes us. And if it works, great. And obviously it does work and it ends up in the scene and it's one of the most famous kind of moments. And as we've spoken about, then gets echoed in the third act towards the finale.
Yeah. And I don't know. Presumably he didn't just start this on Wolf of Wall Street, McConaughey. Presumably that's how he warms up for regular scenes. Have you heard of that from other movies?
I don't know if it's always this, but there is, like him and Woody Harrelson talk about it. And True Detective, there were some certain things he was doing to get ready for the scenes in that. And Woody Harrelson talked about how much it used to piss him off because he was going inside himself. Because, of course, that character of Russ Cole is a really kind of introverted and insular person who then has these great kind of philosophical thoughts that he then would share. So McConaughey would get into the moment for that by doing exactly that to Woody. And he's like saying, "No, I'm trying to bounce ideas off you. And all you're doing is like ignoring me. Like, please." Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I guess maybe he takes on a slightly different one based on the role he's doing. Because this isn't a specific thing that I've heard or read about before. No.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the first time I watched it, I was like, what the fuck's all that about? When you're just not expecting it. I'm like, what is this? And I'm trying to work out, do I recognize the song? Or like, I can't even predict what the next bit, when you listen to a song for the first time and you can sort of predict where it's going to go.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that. I was just a bit more confused the first time I watched it, I think, and then just grew to love it after watching it a couple more times.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think, like I say, I'm just repeating myself from earlier in the podcast now, but he's just really entrenching himself in characters at this point and doing whatever it takes to get into the right mindset, I think. And it's totally working because, he keeps getting the roles around this point of his career and keeps getting the plaudits. And yeah, the McConaissance is in full swing. All right. We'll read a couple of Letterboxd reviews, if that's all right.
Sounds good.
All right, I found some nice little kind of soundbitey short ones, which is in keeping with the, the pace of the movie that we've just watched. Vince says, this would have been a 5-star film if it weren't for the lack of Matthew McConaughey. He gave it 4 stars. Which, as we know, like I'm searching around trying to find the ones which are talking about the film, but are focused on McConaughey. A little bit harder to do with this one, as you can imagine.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like your spirit animal out there. I mean, I don't. It's such an all-star cast. I mean, obviously, the project that you're on, it makes sense for us to focus on McConaughey, but and he did have a big role compared to the amount of minutes. But you could say that about a lot of the characters in there, like Jon Favreau. Oh, yeah, he was in there very briefly. Could have had more Jon Favreau as well. So, yeah, obviously another McConaughey superfan.
Yeah. Okay, A76, they say, Martin Scorsese knows how to make a film wildly entertaining, and this one is no exception. No disrespect to McConaughey, but I really think DiCaprio should have won the Oscar that year. So I alluded to that earlier, that they were kind of up against each other at this point.
Yeah, and so I haven't seen that other movie. I'm going to have to watch that one as well. So I don't know. I'd have to watch them almost back to back. Comedies don't tend to win Oscars, do they? I think this is, and especially because of the excesses in the movie as well. I can't see many years when DiCaprio would have got the Oscar for this, even though I think it's deserving. It's not quite in that Oscar bait sweet spot, is it?
Definitely not. Whereas, of course, then when he eventually gets it for The Revenant, that absolutely is.
Yeah. Fucking most depressing movie I've ever seen in my life. I'll never watch it again. So brilliant. You won an Oscar for it.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get those repeat watchings, are you?
It's true. All right, last one. Fran says, such a slog. Spent most of the film waiting for McConaughey to come back and thinking about how I could be rewatching Catch Me If You Can instead.
I mean, that is... Yeah. I mean... I wonder if that's from someone who didn't know he's kind of come and gone. I mean, that's what I said to you, isn't it? The first time I thought, well, he's such a recognizable actor. He's going to come back at some point. He'll show up and he'll be asking Belfort for a job or something like that. So yeah, I think, but I wouldn't call it a slog. I mean, I could see people not liking it, but because it goes at such a pace. Yeah.
I think because Mark Hanna's one of the characters that is the real name, isn't it? So Mark Hanna is in the movie is the name of McConaughey's character. That is the real name of the real person that inspired. Whereas I think, as you said, like Naomi isn't the name of his wife in real life.
Yeah.
They've all been changed. But I think Mark Hanna himself went to prison, didn't he, for his own nefarious things that he was up to. So I guess that's why the character doesn't come back in the movie.
Yeah, like I say, they're all fucking con men, really.
Yeah. All right, so if this was a DiCaprio podcast, which will be good fun to do one day, this would be a classic, I'm sure. But in terms of McConaughey, then, where do we put it for him? Would this still be a classic because of how you feel about the movie, and he does play a big part? Is it worth catching for the same reasons, or because he's in it so little, would you say it's only worth watching for completeness only?
No, I think this, to me, it's a classic performance. And again, I'm not as well read in the McConaughey verse as yourself, so I've only seen him in a few things. But like I say, it's an iconic performance, so you have to see this one just because it's so off the wall, the performance and everything with the, that interaction and the fact that he sets Belfort off on a particular path. It's probably in it as much as Obi-Wan Kenobi, so
right, yeah.
So it has that mentorship, that cocaine sniffing, batshit crazy mentor, and just set him off on a path of success, but takes it even further than his mentor did.
Yeah, it's definitely one that. It'll be in his showreel, won't it? Let's be honest. When he has his day at the Oscars, when it's like, who have we lost this year? And something from Wolf of Wall Street will be there for sure.
God, I thought I brought the tone down there.
The day will come.
Thinking ahead to his death, and it's like, let's have a look at, his showreel.
Dallas Buyers Club will be there, but I'm sure a Fit for Wolf of Wall Street will be there too.
Hopefully, he's got a few years yet.
For sure, yeah. Okay, so I mentioned right at the top, didn't I, that obviously VHS is the thing that I am most invested in, that you produce. Obviously, you're a man of many talents and a man of many podcasts. Yeah, what's going on in the world? I'm out of the reality world, I'm afraid. So I don't know if you've just done the Traitors or what.
We have done the Traitors, yeah. So Chris and Dave's TV reality TV cast. I often get that wrong. Yeah, we just covered the Traitors, and we're gonna next week. It's gonna be Married at First Sight. So again, usually in the Venn diagram, there aren't too many people. It's basically me and Chris in that intersection. Actually, we do have a couple of supporters who do supporters across both. But yeah, my passion, my love, is the VHS Strikes Back, and again, I kind of had this idea when we kicked that off that we'd tackle all the Rocky movies, Terminators, Aliens, all the classics and stuff, but there's just so many fucking movies, and I just love it. And then just having that like this, you've got that earth rod of a particular thing, and then you just get together for an hour or so and at a regular time, and then just chat shit about a movie. But I mean, we've just literally done Pumping Iron, which was a bit of a weird one. It's more like a sports documentary, but kind of sports documentary. Actually, you say about the reality TV, but it is manipulated like reality TV, because reality TV is not really reality. It's all producer manipulation. It's set up and stuff. And so I thought in fact, the week before that, we did another classic, which is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze from 1991. And next week, to bring out one of my favorite genres to inflict on Chris, is going to be Red Sonja. So debut for
Bridget Nielsen.
Bridget Nielsen, yeah. Same year as Rocky 4. So yeah, always good fun. We're normally a couple of weeks ahead, but because of Christmas and everything, we're literally at the point where record at the weekend and then release next week.
I noticed that. Yeah, you guys you're under pressure at the the moment.
It is. Yeah, there's no room. There's no slack at all. So we need to probably double up 1 week. But yeah, it's not bad because you probably noticed, because we're running the Year of the Stitch Up competition, so we wouldn't have been able to do it in that way. So that's more luck than judgment to do that. But but yeah, no, lots of fun doing that.
Not that I've got a vested interest in that in any way whatsoever.
Yeah, finalist. I mean, I don't want to influence the vote. I'll put the vote out on Wednesday. We're recording this on Monday. There's only one actual Stitch Up in there, and then there's another fantastic, terrible movie. But I did say I didn't really want to say thou must, vote for the best Stitch Up. I said, vote however you want to. So you can see one set of votes has gone for the pure Stitch Up, and one has gone for the. I mean, it was a great pick, to be fair. I mean, just an amazing movie that should sit up there with The Room, but it just hasn't had the same level of exposure. But that's the only difference. It is an equally fantastic, terrible movie.
Yeah. The moment Alo dies on that, I was like, oh my God, like, how has this not been in my world before? And this is soon, if nobody gets there before me, this is about to enter the world of the VHS for sure.
Yeah, it is absolutely amazing.
So, another classic to add to the collection, and some healthy debate on the pros and cons of the chosen direction on the way to judgment. I enjoyed this one. My thanks to Dave for taking the time to watch and research this behemoth. We boiled it down pretty concisely, I think. I hope you agree. I'd also love to know your views too. Is Wolf of Wall Street a successful indictment or a misjudged glorification? I want to extend my thanks to you too, listeners, for your continued engagement and participation as we journey through the reconnaissance. That was The Wolf of Wall Street. Next up in a fortnight, I'm going to be joined by Matt Rogers to discuss Eminem's performance as Russ Cole in Season 1 of True Detective for those that are watching along. Until next time, be excellent to each other and make sure you take the time to treat yourself too. I am Jack signing off. Yippee-ki-yay, movie lovers.
You just gotta keep living, man. Livin.
Cut.
Hey,